happen to us that eat that which lives in the ocean. As far as the birds are concerned, we did the same thing and are doing the same thing to the air. So at what point do we realize that whatever problem is out there, we have created it, but by the same token, we are the solution for it? Remember, as gloomy as the picture may seem, we know who makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. If we are believers, then the answers to the questions that we're asking are coming from one and the same place. So the issue for us is not what are we going to do, but when will we decide to do what we must do?
Yes, I would just like to briefly please talk about the birds. Yes, it is related to what's taking place. As I've been in meetings with the geologists and others from around the world, we have been watching this, and it's being caused from the volcanoes, underground volcanoes all over the earth. What happens is, it happened during biblical times, during the time of Moses. Everything can be related back. When you have sulfur rising up from the earth crust, and even the climatologists, they will tell you this releases methane gas. And haven't you heard of birds in a mine shaft? Right? The canaries. And what happens is, due to all of the volcanoes jumping off in the rings of fire, the North Atlantic plates, this is releasing methane gas. So you're finding fish dying, whales beaching all over the earth, and he could tell you about that too. So this causes a lack of oxygen in the water, so it's killing off the fish all over the world. And if you look at where these fish are dying, they're dying in places that are getting hit with earthquakes. All of the fish and birds that's been dying there along the New Madrid Fault, in the earthquake zone that we all sit on. Any day, we're getting ready to get hit. So we are now conducting trainings, which I am part of, and other trainers for the Millions More Movement and others with state, local, federal, and the military and officials to get ready for the massive quakes that's getting ready to hit us. So yes, it is related to the volcanoes. Just go online and then Google fish die off, bird and die off in earthquakes, and you'll find what you're looking for.
One thing, thank you, Sister Aurelia. One thing that I want us all as believers and followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan is that first the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you must do for self. Do for, and then others, right? So the first thing that we really need to do is take a look at what are we doing inside of our own homes to prepare us to survive these type of situations. You never know where you will be when a disaster strikes.
That's right.
You will never know. So those are the reasons that we teach on. This is why you should have a go bag. This is in your home. This is why you should store foods and learn how to can inside of your home. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has given us example, or has taught us what is going to happen. He's given us the things that we need to survive. And the main purpose of this forum is, how do we help you to survive? In the Fall of America, chapter 27, chapter 34, chapter 35, 36, and 37 deal with the divine destruction, or the judgment of Allah, the judgments of Allah, like we said before. Please go back and study those things. Clear those words that may not be as understandable to you as they were before. So I'll go into the next question.
Yes, I live in Florida, and one of the major concerns in Florida is hurricanes. And there was one hurricane a few years ago. It was Hurricane Floyd, and thankfully to Allah, it did not go through our city, the city of Jacksonville, but it came close. My question is about the preparation and what to do in terms of guidance from an impending hurricane, because one thing I noticed when that hurricane approached, Interstate 10 became a parking lot. And I was thinking about all those people in their cars trying to get out. And, you know, there's only one or two ways out of Florida as far as a major interstate. So what would you advise in terms of preparation for and what to do in the event of an oncoming hurricane? What category level would you advise people leave or flee, or what category level they can stay and try to survive?
Sister Alva?
I would say that, and I think that my fellow panelists would agree, that we take an all-hazards approach to preparedness, meaning that we prepare for hurricane or earthquake or fire or flood or tornado, because the basic preparations are going to be the same. One of the things that the brother mentioned is, you know, what route do we take to evacuate? There's a couple of steps very briefly, and the first one that I want to talk about is just basic communication as you prepare. As we prepare, and Brother William mentioned this, hurricanes are predictable. We have plenty of advance notice, and they turn all the highways around so you can get out of town. But when we prepare, we should prepare for anything to happen at any time. And in preparing for something that could happen at any time, we will, of course, then be prepared for something that can be predicted. But the most important thing, after you get your food and water, and there are people here who will talk about that, but the most important thing for us to prepare is to sit down face to face with our family and the people that we love and talk out a plan. Work the plan out. If it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon and sister's about to go pick up children from school, children are at school, husband may be at work, sister may be at work, your uncle that lives with you might be at a doctor's appointment, everybody's all over town, how will you reconnect with one another if your cell phones don't work? How will you reconnect with one another if your children are at school? So that as we plan, and we plan for anything that could happen, by definition, we'll already be prepared for an earthquake. And another part of the brother's question that I wanted to mention is, he asked, and I wish he were still standing up here, how do you make the decision? At what point do you decide to stay or go? Okay, part of your preparations include discussing what you are prepared for in your home, how vulnerable you feel you are as you understand the place where you live, as you understand the community around you, as you understand how prepared you are, then you can make a decision. Because one of the things that we have been taught is that a time will come when we won't be able to leave our homes. And so we have to make as many preparations as we possibly can so that we don't have to leave our homes, because if we do leave our homes, we may not be able to return.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Tornisa X, and I'm from New York. And my question, Brother Rudolph, I had taken a management course with you and Sister Aurelia. Also, I did 2 disaster preparedness seminars in Mount Vernon as well. However, I'm in the city of Mount Vernon where there's a lot of buildings, and I am in the projects. My mom is in the projects. 500 families. We have a lot of buildings in Mount Vernon. The elders are not all on lower level. How do we help to evacuate the sisters and brothers that live on the higher levels that are elders, who may not have the strength of their husbands, or may not have husbands at all? What do we do? So that is one of the questions that I want to know. And how do I give that information back to them? Because they are looking for me to come back to do a class. And praise be to Allah, because I took in your classes, that I was able to help them and assist them in other ways. But this is one of the main reasons that I want to, because we have a lot of buildings in my city.
Well, sis, I'll say it this way. There is no substitute for training. The people must be trained, and they must be trained now. We're not going to talk ourselves through this. So classes must be scheduled so that you can begin to train them, not just on the procedures or the maneuvers that they have to do, but they must be trained on how to work together in order to get it done. In Mount Vernon, which I'm very familiar with, as with any city, what we must do is from the ground up rather than the top down. We have to start formulating groups within the community. If it's 5 people in one group on one block and 5 on another, and teach them how to search and rescue, how to move people, when to move people, what needs to be done. The basics of CPR and first aid, everyone should know in order to be able to at least hold the line until other help can get there. Everyone needs to know that they should have an all-weather radio so that they can keep apprised of the weather conditions that are coming up. Everyone needs to know how to get from where they are to wherever they deem or wherever they've been told a safe ground or a safe location is in case they have to evacuate. Then you need to walk it, because just to know it without physically being able to do it is not an answer. So we must get out of the comfortability of our vehicles and put our feet back on the pavement and begin walking. How far can you walk? How far can you walk carrying stuff that you need? How long can you walk? These are the hard answered questions that we have to answer. But as soon as we get back to New York, call me and we can start the training.
Yes, sir.
And,
Thank you.
yes, and lastly,
Go ahead, sister.
What I wanted to say was that the first thing that we have to do is we have to, as the minister said, we have to begin to know each other. We have to begin to know our neighbors. We have to begin to know who in our buildings are high-risk personnel. We have to know who is the person in our building that we might have to carry out. Because what search and rescue teams do is they come to your building if you're stuck in your building, or if your building is collapsed. What they'll do is they'll assess your building to see if it's worth coming in to save you. And what they do is they do that by moderate or light. Anything above light, they won't come in. So it has to be, to them, a light rescue mission in order for them to even go in. So we have to be able to understand that we have to start thinking that there is nobody coming for us but us. We have to save each other. And until we do that,
Greetings. My name is Walter Umrani Mohammed. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a living witness to what happened there. And I want to say to the audience, especially my beautiful sister here, if you go to New Orleans and start talking to a crowd of people about needing training to get monies from any one of those organizations, you're going to have a problem. I'm hard-pressed to believe that any of those government agencies could give a darn about poor and black people when it comes time to these disasters, when you really look at it on the ground. I'm a living witness of that. I was blessed to have resources. Me and my family came back. We live in Algiers, where Brother Malik said it didn't flood, so we were blessed. Now, Sister said we have to tell the people, be prepared to leave. In the case of a hurricane, we knew days in advance. Earthquakes are different. But right here in Chicago, I'm willing to say, Minister Jeffrey, or Student Minister Jeffrey, that if you knew in 3 days or 4 or 5 days a earthquake would hit in Chicago, you still going to come back and be pulling tens of thousands of black folks out of rubble. I guarantee you that. If there was a hurricane, they tell me, look, in New Orleans, we're going to hit you again. And Minister Farrakhan said if they didn't do right by the poor people, Allah would send something through there with no levy in the world would protect them. If we told them next week, you got 5 days, there'll still be black folks and poor folks' bodies floating in the street. Why? Because there is no plan. And we have to develop that, and the people don't listen. The preachers preach these last days, but they do nothing in advance to prepare the people. How do we reach that? And before I sit down, I have to say this. Minister Farrakhan sent money to many families in New Orleans. He don't publicize it. I was blessed. I had my resources, but there were many families that he took care of. I want to state that for the record. Okay.
yes, brother.
Hold on. Hold on. Now, few little rules that I guess I should have said in advance, not directed at brother, but each person coming up, please have a question. And we want your question to be based on how we can be prepared in times of disasters. We could feel our brother's passion because he lived through it. And all praises due to Allah. Allah spared him and his family's life. But each person, please come and ask a question that can benefit all of us, because all of us are student ministers and we get to a microphone.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Maryam Muhammad, and I'm from Detroit. I want to preach a little bit too, because I'm real full, when it comes to this here. But I'm going to ask a question and try to make a statement too, if that's okay.
Just the question.
Yes, sir. My question is, how do we, because we have to do this, hold Salvation Army accountable for those monies that have been donated to them? Because big money came from Detroit. Big money came and was donated for those people from Detroit, and I'm sure all over. And for example, to say I know what I'm talking about is I'm a bus driver, and I was transporting some of those Katrina victims that they sent to Detroit back and forth to school, their children. And I volunteered my time to help some of those people. And I found out that Salvation Army had a hangar, airplane hangar full of brand new stoves and refrigerators and furniture and everything that was donated for these people that was in this air hangar on the east side of Detroit. Those people at that hotel had no idea that stuff was there. And until I threatened them that I was going to tell the news about it and get them to reveal how they were holding this stuff back from our people and not allowing them to come there, they weren't going to say anything about it. So when I did, they pulled 2 DOT buses off of their line to come over there and get those people and take them to the east side to see the stuff. And check out what they did. When they got over there...
Wait.
Just let me tell you what they did, and I'm
With all, I don't mean any disrespect.
Yes, sir.
But we have a limited amount of time.
I just want to know.
I want to be able to answer the question, and most of the panelists have already answered that, and this sister said it, and Dr. Carruthers said it. Minister Farrakhan even really answered that last year and the year before last. Don't give the places that you don't know what they're doing with the money. But most importantly, let us give to him. When he said, give the money, I'll tell you where to give it to. Don't give it to anybody else.
Right.
I'll let you know who to give it to. I'll let you know what they're going to do with it. And he has been faithful in telling us, give here, don't give here. So as Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, and we got to keep reading this. Wherever he said don't go.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Brother Harold Muhammad from New York City, and I have 2 questions. Sister mentioned that there have been 700 minor earthquakes in the Central States area. Is this directly related to the recent study of the New Madrid fault line, which bisects, in some cases, trisects the United States? Second question, Dr. Savatka mentioned that a well-built home can survive some of these severe storms. What constitutes a well-built home? And what can be done, because most of these believers in here right now can tell you, they don't live in a well-built home. What can they do proactively to make their home survivable for these direct storms?
When in the thousands of tornadoes a year, those that are the violent ones are only violent in small percentages of that. So really, I think most people would do best if they focused on surviving the majority of tornadoes. And what you can do in your house is identify the safest location that you've possibly got. Number 1 would be the lowest floor, the most interior room. So if you have a basement, get in the basement. If you don't have a basement, find an inside bathroom, get in the bathtub, get some blankets on top of you, protect your head from flying debris. If you have the ability to build You might want to consider, if in some rural areas, an outdoor storm cellar, like in the old days. You can put a protection around a closet, maybe a bedroom closet or something, where you can reinforce the walls. In Oklahoma, for like $10,000 when they're building the house, you can build a cement room. When you're building a house, some of the most common things that happen in hurricanes, Hurricane Andrew, is when the roofs are coming off the house, they could have been attached for a couple of $100s with clips, hurricane clips. And you can do the same thing with tornadoes. And because if you keep that roof on your house, the walls don't collapse. So it's small things. It's really ensuring that who's ever doing the building is honest and has integrity to build it according to specifications. They're good, just get it done. Bottom line is, for you yourself in your house, identify that place in your house. Get some extra blankets or pillows or something, and protect yourself. And when there's that warning, or you think something is happening, don't wait for the warning. Get to that safe place in your house, and you will survive a whole lot more than the people who are out watching and caught completely unaware.
Brother Dale?
The other things that you can do, one of the things you can do is you can find out which hazardous weather, find out which hazardous weather is more prone to your area where you live. Some areas are more prone to flooding. Some areas are more prone to earthquakes, tornadoes. Find out. Once you're in these areas, you need to assess to see if your home has been bolted. If your home has been bolted, you should be 25% okay. But if it hasn't been bolted, then if a major earthquake or a tornado comes, your house is gone. Make sure that inside your home, if you have the funds, to make sure that your furniture is secured to the ground. Make sure that your hot water heaters are bolted to the walls. There's some things that you could get from Home Depot. But, these are things that you could do to make sure that in the event that there's a really extreme weather event that comes, whether it be a earthquake or a tornado, that those things won't shift around your house and potentially kill you.
Yes, it's just briefly, the brother from in New Orleans did have a question, and it was the cost of training. The training is very expensive, but under the Millions More movement, when the Nation of Islam, we have provided millions of dollars. We do not charge. I do not charge anything to serve you all, So I do this free of charges, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. This is a full-time job. So any city who want that training, will provide it next. Search and rescue teams. Everyone keeps talking about it. Well, guess what? This is a heads up. Homeland Security, the U.S. military, the National Guard have already turned over search and rescue to us, because we are the only organization in the United States who actually have the teams. We do have the people in place that are trained up to standard. I constantly cross-train and training others, so that we have. The next thing, if we do have any major disasters anywhere in the United States, we actually have shelters, churches, schools. They are already set up. So all of you can just go to the website, mmmdisastermanagementtraining.com. We have our website up. We have everything that we need in place. And if you go to Message to the Black Man, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we are a blessing to America because they're broke. They do not have the money. Our firefighter, our responders, all of them are either in Iran, Afghanistan. We have no choice, but guess what? We've been training them for 80 years in preparedness, but the past 20 years, we have trained in management, and we have already had this turned over to us. So you all can see me afterwards and talk. So we got it.
My first question is for Dr. Carruthers, and then the second part of what I would like to ask is for the response teams and the search and rescue teams. Dr. Carruthers, during your interviews down in New Orleans regarding the natural disaster, do you have any interviews of the people from New Orleans during this disaster who were concerned about their loved ones who were in jails and prisons? To the first, okay, go ahead.
Is that the first question?
Yes,
For
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do. One young lady was not only